Laughter and conversation filled the air until Travis Harrington spoke loud enough for the entire table to hear. "The only reason this black woman is even at our table is because my brother has a fetish." He set his fork down, his grin wide and cruel. Every person at the family gathering heard him clearly. Layla's jaw tightened. "Grant, did you hear what your brother just said?" Grant did not look up. "Just let it go, Layla. Let it go." "Let it go? He just called me a fetish in front of your whole family." I said, "Drop it." "No. For years your family has treated me like dirt. I am done being quiet." Grant stood up. His hand cracked across her face. The sound split the yard like a gunshot. Dozens of guests sat frozen. Not one mouth opened. Travis laughed. Guess the dog needed training after all. But what none of them knew was this. Soon, Layla's face would appear on national television, and every single person at that table would choke on their silence. Let me take you back to the beginning, because how Layla got to that table is the real story. Before the slap, before the blood rushed to Layla's cheek, before dozens of forks stopped moving. Let me tell you how Layla Brooks ended up at that table in the first place. The Harrington estate sat on acres of Virginia countryside. White fences, oak trees lining a gravel driveway so long you could lose cell signal halfway through. A colonial farmhouse passed down generations, built on old money and older pride. Every summer the Harringtons threw their family gathering, tents, buffet tables, a hired barbecue crew, a country band on a wooden stage, American flags hanging from every post. Picture perfect, postcard ready. The crowd showed up that year. Neighbors, old friends, a couple local politicians shaking hands. Almost every face was white. Almost every handshake came with a last name that had been in that county for generations. And then there was Layla. Layla Brooks, black woman, early 40s, wore a linen sundress and small gold earrings, carried a peach cobbler she baked that morning, her Mama Renee's recipe, the same cobbler she brought every single year for years straight. That is how long she had been married to Grant Harrington. See, here's what you need to understand about Grant. When he met Layla, he was working a dead-end desk job at a small bank in Richmond. No direction, no ambition. Layla was already a rising reporter at a local news station, sharp, beautiful, driven. Grant was fascinated by her, but Grant did not fall in love with Layla. He fell in love with what she gave him. Attention, status, a woman who made him look interesting at parties, a woman whose success reflected on him. His family hated it from day one. Marilyn Harrington, Grant's mother, sat him down the week he proposed. She did not yell. She did not cry. She just said, "You can date whoever you want, but a Harrington does not marry a black woman. That is not what this family is." Grant married Layla anyway, but not because he was brave, because he was stubborn. He wanted to prove his mother wrong, not about racism, but about control. He did not defend Layla. He used her. And every year that passed, Grant changed. Or maybe he just stopped pretending. The more Layla's career grew, the smaller Grant felt. She got promoted, he got bitter. She got invited to anchor a weekend segment. He got drunk and told her she was getting too full of herself. She won a regional journalism award. He did not come to the ceremony. Grant started echoing his family's language. Not the slurs, not yet, but the tone, the little digs. "You're so loud sometimes. Why do you always have to be the center of attention? My mother says you make people uncomfortable." Layla heard what those words really meant. She always did. But she stayed because she loved the man she married, not the man he was becoming. That morning of the gathering, Layla stood in the bathroom mirror pressing her dress. Grant walked past without saying good morning. She asked if he wanted coffee. He said, "We are already late because of you." They drove in silence. The smell of peach cobbler filled the car. Grant cracked his window like the scent bothered him. When they pulled up the gravel driveway, Layla saw the tents, the flags, the crowd. She took a breath, told herself what she told herself every year. Smile. Be gracious. Leave early. She stepped out of the car, carrying the cobbler with both hands. Grant was already steps ahead, walking toward his brothers. Did not hold the door, did not take the dish, did not look back. Layla's mother, Renee, arrived shortly after in her old sedan. She was not invited by the Harringtons. Layla had asked her to come. Renee stepped out wearing a floral blouse and flat shoes. She scanned the yard, the white faces, the stiff smiles, the way people's eyes slid past her daughter like she was furniture. Renee walked straight to Layla, took her hand, squeezed it once. "You do not have to stay long, baby." Layla squeezed back. "I know, Mama." But she did not leave, not yet. She had no idea what was coming. The first hit did not come from a hand. It came from a label, or the lack of one. Buffet time. Marilyn had set up the dessert table herself. Every dish had a little white card in front of it, handwritten, elegant. Marilyn's lemon pound cake, Kendra's strawberry trifle, Aunt Ruthie's pecan pie. Layla's peach cobbler sat at the far end of the table. No card, no name, pushed to the edge like an afterthought. A woman Layla did not recognize picked up a spoon and leaned over the cobbler. "Oh, this smells amazing. Who made this?" Kendra, Travis's wife, walked past and did not even stop. "I think the caterers brought that one." Layla was standing right there, close enough to touch the table. She spoke up, calm and clear. "Actually, that is mine. It is my mama's recipe." Kendra turned around, looked Layla up and down, then smiled. The kind of smile that has teeth but no warmth. Oh, how ethnic. Two women behind Kendra laughed, not loud, just enough. Layla felt the heat crawl up her neck, but she did not react. She never reacted. Years of practice. Renee was watching from a bench under the oak tree. She saw the whole thing. Her hands folded in her lap, her jaw tight. She didn't move. Not because she did not want to, but because Layla had asked her not to. "Please, Mama. I can handle it." Renee whispered to herself. "Lord, give me strength." The cobbler was gone in minutes, every last bite. No one complimented Layla. Not once. That was the first cut. The second came from Travis. Travis Harrington was the kind of man who said terrible things and called them jokes. He stood by the barbecue pit with a beer in one hand and the microphone in the other. The band had handed it to him for the family toast. All right. Welcome, everybody. Another year, another Harrington gathering, the greatest family in the county. Cheers, clapping, whistles. Travis grinned. "Now, I see a lot of familiar faces out here and a couple unfamiliar ones." His eyes drifted to Layla, then to Renee. He did not say their names. He did not have to. But hey, that is what America is all about, right? Open doors, even when you did not open them yourself. More laughter. Layla stood still, her hand around a plastic cup of sweet tea, her knuckles whitening. Travis was not done. "You know, I was telling my buddy the other day, Grant has more diversity in his bedroom than most companies have in their whole building." The crowd erupted. Grant, standing in the circle of men near the smoker, cracked a half smile, did not say a word. Layla's stomach turned. She looked at the ground, took a breath, then looked back up. Because that is what Layla Brooks did. She looked things in the eye. Travis spotted her staring. He tilted his beer toward her. "Aw, come on now. I'm just playing with you, girl. You know we love having you around. Somebody has got to keep the place colorful." A man next to him nearly spit out his drink laughing. Layla turned to walk away. As she did, she heard Travis mutter, just loud enough. "Hair like that? I'm surprised she did not set off the smoke alarm." He was talking about her natural hair, the curls she spent time shaping that morning, the curls her mama taught her to love when she was young. Layla kept walking. Renee saw her daughter cross the yard, saw the way her shoulders pulled in, the way her steps got quicker. Renee stood up from the bench, but Layla held up one hand without turning around. A signal. "Not yet, Mama." The third cut came from Marilyn. Family photo time. Marilyn had hired a professional photographer. She gathered the family in front of the big oak tree, the same tree the Harringtons had taken photos under for decades. Everyone shuffled into place. Grant stood in the second row. Layla moved to stand beside him. She smiled, adjusted her dress. Marilyn walked over, not to Layla, to the photographer. She spoke just loud enough for the front row to hear. "Let us do the first one with just Harringtons. Blood family only." Layla blinked. The photographer looked confused. Layla stepped back. No one told her to. No one had to. Kendra nudged her daughter into Layla's spot, did not even look at her. Travis called out from the back row, "Do not worry, Layla. We will take one with the help later." This time, somebody gasped. A woman near the edge, one of the neighbors, covered her mouth, but she didn't say anything. None of them did. Layla stood alone. The camera flashed. The family smiled. She watched her husband pose with the people who had spent years pretending she did not exist. Renee walked up behind her daughter, put her hand on her back, said nothing. Because sometimes there are no words. Sometimes all you can do is stand next to someone and let them know they are not invisible. The photo took minutes. It felt much longer. After the photographer finished, Layla pulled Grant behind the old barn, away from the tents, away from the crowd. The smell of rust and damp wood hung in the air. "Your mother just kicked me out of the family photo." Grant loosened his collar. "She did not kick you out. She just wanted one with blood family." "With what, Grant? Blood family?" "I am your wife. We have been married for years. Layla, come on. Do not start. Do not start. Travis called me your fetish. He told me I looked like the help. Your mother will not even say my name, and you just stand there." Grant's jaw tightened. "What do you want me to do? Fight my whole family? I want you to act like I am your wife, just once." Grant stepped closer. His voice dropped. That voice Layla had learned to recognize, the one that came before the ugly words. "You know what your problem is? You think that little news job makes you somebody. You think reading a teleprompter means people owe you respect." Layla did not step back. "This is not about my job. It is always about your job. You walk around here like you are better than everyone. My mother sees it. Travis sees it. Everybody sees it. What they see, Grant, is a black woman who does not bow her head. And that kills them." Grant's face went red. A vein in his neck pulsed. He pointed his finger an inch from her face. "You better watch how you talk to me." "Or what?" He did not answer. Not then. He just stared at her. The kind of stare that stores something up for later. Layla had seen it before. She knew what it meant. She walked away from the barn, back toward the tents. Her hands were trembling. Not from fear, from rage she could not afford to show. Renee met her halfway across the yard. Did not ask what happened. She could see it. A mother always can. "Baby, let us go home." Layla shook her head. "Not yet. If I leave now, they win." Renee held her daughter's face in both hands. "Listen to me. You have nothing to prove to these people. Nothing." Layla placed her hands over her mother's. "I know, Mama, but I need to prove it to myself." She straightened her dress, lifted her chin, and walked back toward the table. The sun started dropping. The sky turned pink and orange over the Harrington property. Fireflies blinked along the tree line. The band switched to slower songs. Tiki torches were lit around the yard. The smell of citronella mixed with leftover barbecue smoke. It should have been beautiful. It was, if you did not know what was underneath. Marilyn Harrington stood at the head of the long wooden table. Dozens of guests seated around her. She tapped a butter knife against her crystal glass. The chatter died down. "I would like to say a few words." She waited, like she always did, because Marilyn never spoke until she had silence. Total silence. "Every year I stand in this same spot, under these same trees, looking at these same faces. And every year I am reminded why the Harrington name means something." She paused. "Let that land, this family, was not built overnight. It was built by people who understood something important. That legacy is about blood. It is about who you are, where you come from, what runs through your veins." Layla sat in the middle of the table, Renee beside her. Layla's hands were flat on the table, still, too still. Marilyn continued. "Family is not just about who shows up at the table. It is about who belongs at the table. And I am grateful every single year that the people sitting here tonight understand what it means to carry the Harrington name." She raised her glass. "To bloodline, to tradition, to keeping this family exactly what it has always been." The table erupted. Glasses clinked. "Here, here. To the Harringtons. Travis stood up and whooped. Grant nodded and raised his glass. Kendra wiped a fake tear from her eye. Layla did not move. Her glass sat untouched, her eyes locked on Marilyn. Renee reached under the table and placed her hand over Layla's, a silent plea. Do not. Not here. Not now. But Layla had hit a wall, years of walls, and this one was the last. She stood up. The chair scraped against the flagstone. The sound cut through the clinking glasses like a scratch across a record. People turned. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Layla's voice came out calm, steady, the voice of a woman who had spent years speaking to cameras, to millions, to power. Marilyn, I have been coming to this gathering for years. Marilyn lowered her glass. Her smile froze. Years I brought food to this table. Years I showed up, dressed right, said please and thank you. Years I watched your sons make jokes about my skin. Years I stood in the back of your family photos. Years I bit my tongue so hard it bled. The yard was dead silent. Even the crickets seemed to stop. That toast you just made about blood and tradition and who belongs, every person at this table knows what you meant. You meant me. You have always meant me. Marilyn's jaw tightened. Layla, this is not the time. It is never the time. That is the trick, is it not? There is never a right moment for the black woman to speak. It is always too loud, too angry, too sensitive. Years, Marilyn. I gave this family years of silence, and I am done. Travis slammed his palm on the table. Oh, here we go. The race card, right on schedule. Layla turned to him. Race card? You called me a fetish hours ago. You told me I looked like the help. You made a joke about my hair setting off the smoke alarm. That is not a card, Travis. That is your whole damn deck. Travis's face twisted. Watch your mouth, girl. Or what? You will call me another slur? Go ahead. You have been rehearsing them all day. The table was frozen. Guests stared at their plates. A woman at the far end quietly put down her napkin and looked at the exit. Grant stood up. His chair did not scrape. It flew back. His face was dark red. That vein in his neck was back. That is enough, Layla. Layla turned to him. The man she had loved for years. The man who never once stood between her and his family's cruelty. Enough? Grant, I have not even started. I said that is enough. Sit down. No. Sit down, make me. The words hung in the air. Every pair of eyes at that table moved from Layla to Grant, back to Layla, back to Grant. Grant's hand came up fast, open palm, full force, straight across her left cheek. The crack was so loud a woman at the end of the table dropped her glass. Sweet tea exploded across the white tablecloth like a stain that would never come out. Layla's head snapped to the right. Her body swayed, but she did not fall. Her hand came up slowly to her cheek. She could feel the heat radiating through her fingers. She could taste copper in her mouth. She turned back to face Grant, slowly, 1 inch at a time. Her eyes locked on his. She did not scream, did not cry, did not beg. She just looked at him. And in that look was every dinner she cooked for his family, every insult she swallowed, every night she cried in the bathroom with the faucet running so he would not hear. Dozens of guests sat frozen, forks midair, mouths open, not one word spoken, not one hand raised, not one person pushed back their chair. Marilyn was the first to move. She set down her glass and said, not to Grant, but to the table, let us all just calm down. Not, are you okay? Not, Grant, what did you do? Just calm down, manage the scene, protect the image. Travis leaned back in his chair. She provoked him. Everybody saw that. Kendra pulled out her phone, not to call for help, to record. She pointed the camera at Layla, at the black woman with a handprint on her face, not at the man who put it there. A few guests shifted in their seats. One man closed his eyes and shook his head, but he stayed seated. They all stayed seated. Renee was already on her feet. She crossed the table in steps. She took Layla's hand, gently, firmly, like she was handling something precious and broken at the same time. We are leaving, right now. Layla did not resist. She let her mother guide her away from the table, away from the tents, away from the flags and the tiki torches and the fireflies. Grant yelled after them, "Go ahead, run. You were never one of us anyway." Travis raised his beer. "Do not let the gate hit you on the way out, girl." Renee did not turn around. Layla did not either. They walked across the gravel driveway, their shoes crunching with every step, the sound of the party resuming behind them. Music starting back up, conversations restarting, glasses clinking again. Like nothing happened. They got in the car. Renee drove. Layla sat in the passenger seat, her hands in her lap. A tear rolled down her cheek and landed on her dress. She did not wipe it. The peach cobbler dish, empty now, sat on the back seat. They drove in silence. The Virginia countryside rolled past, dark fields, distant farmhouses, stars blinking through the windshield. Layla's phone buzzed. Then again. Then multiple times in a row. She ignored it. Renee glanced at the screen lighting up. "Baby, your phone." Layla stared out the window. "I do not want to talk to anyone right now." The phone buzzed again, then started ringing. The caller ID read Carolyn Shaw. Renee looked at the road, then at her daughter, then at the phone. "Sweetheart, that is ringing again." Layla finally looked down. A wall of texts from Carolyn, capital letters, exclamation marks, missed calls. "Layla, where are you? Turn on a TV now. Layla, answer your phone." The announcement went live. The whole country is watching. Layla's breath caught. Renee pulled the car onto the shoulder of a dark two-lane road, engines still running, headlights cutting through nothing. "Read those messages, Layla." Layla picked up her phone. Her hands were still shaking. She scrolled through Carolyn's texts, then she saw the link. A live broadcast. She tapped it. The screen loaded. Bright studio lights, the network anchor desk, network executive standing behind the podium with the network logo glowing behind her. The executive's voice came through the tiny phone speaker, clear and proud. "Tonight, we are thrilled to make a historic announcement. After years of extraordinary journalism, from war zones to the halls of Congress, we are naming Layla Brooks as the new lead primetime anchor of Washington National Cable News." Layla stopped breathing. Layla becomes the first black woman to hold this position in our network's history. Her courage, her integrity, and her voice represent everything this network stands for. A highlight reel played. Layla reporting from a hurricane aftermath, wind tearing at her jacket. Layla interviewing a senator, eyes sharp, questions sharper. Layla on a podium accepting a journalism award. Years of work compressed into seconds. Renee's hand flew to her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could even speak. She grabbed her daughter's arm and squeezed. "Baby, baby, that is you." Layla stared at the screen. The woman on that broadcast looked powerful, confident, unbreakable. Layla touched her own cheek, still hot, still swollen from Grant's hand, and looked at that woman on the screen and could not connect the two. But they were the same woman. They had always been the same woman. Her phone rang. "Carolyn." "Layla, oh my God, where are you? The whole country just saw your face. Every network is picking it up. You are trending #1 on every platform right now." Layla's voice cracked, just barely. "Carolyn, something happened tonight." "What? What happened?" "Not now. I will tell you everything, but I need to make a call first." She hung up, sat still for seconds, then dialed the county sheriff's office. "I would like to report a domestic assault." Now let me take you back to the Harrington property, because what happened there in the next minutes is something no one in that family will ever forget. The living room of the Harrington farmhouse had a large TV mounted over the fireplace. It was always on during gatherings, usually tuned to a game or a rerun nobody watched. Background noise. But someone had switched it to the news network. It did not matter. What mattered is what was on that screen. Layla Brooks's face, larger than life. A cousin noticed first. He was walking past the living room with a plate of ribs. He stopped, stared, then called out to the porch. "Y'all might want to come see this." People trickled in, 2 at a time, then more, then everyone. The highlight reel was still playing. Layla in the field, Layla on camera, Layla shaking hands with network executives, Layla's name in gold letters across the bottom of the screen. Layla Brooks, new lead anchor, Primetime. Travis was the first Harrington to enter the room. His beer was halfway to his mouth. It stayed there, frozen. Marilyn walked in behind him. She saw the screen, her face drained of color. Every shade of fake composure melted off her like candle wax. Grant pushed through the doorway last. He still had red on his knuckles. He looked up at the TV and saw his wife's face, smiling, radiant, celebrated, filling the screen wall to wall. The room was packed. People crammed into a living room, and not one of them made a sound. A local councilwoman who had been quiet all evening stood near the window. She turned to Grant. Her voice cut through the silence like a scalpel. "That is your wife, Grant." Grant did not move. "That woman on that screen, the one the whole country is celebrating right now, is the same woman you slapped at this table earlier." Grant opened his mouth. "It is just a news thing. She reads a teleprompter. It is not. She just became the face of the most watched cable news network in this country, and you hit her in front of all of us." Marilyn stepped forward. "This is a family matter." The councilwoman replied, "I am a public official. I just watched your son commit assault in front of dozens of witnesses." This stopped being a family matter the second his hand touched her face. Nobody backed her up, but nobody argued with her either. The room just stood there, mouths open, eyes on the screen, dozens of people finally understanding the weight of what they had witnessed. The woman they ignored, the woman they mocked, the woman Travis called a dog, the woman Kendra recorded like evidence against a criminal, the woman Marilyn cut out of the family photo. That woman was now the most talked about journalist in America, and every single person in that room had watched her husband slap her and done absolutely nothing. The TV kept playing, Layla's face kept shining, and the silence in that living room was so thick you could choke on it. The red and blue lights came shortly after. 2 patrol cars rolled up the Harrington driveway, gravel popping under the tires, headlights sweeping across the yard. The country band had already packed up. The tiki torches were burning low. Half the buffet was covered in plastic wrap. The gathering was dead. It just did not know it yet. Deputy stepped out first, tall, calm, a man who had been doing this job for years and had learned to read a scene before anyone said a word. He read this one quickly. Torn tablecloth, broken glass still on the flagstone, a crowd of people standing around with the look of folks who had seen something they wished they had not. "We received a domestic assault report from this address. I'm looking for Grant Harrington." Travis stepped forward, arms crossed, chest puffed. "Officer, this is private property. Whatever you heard, it was a misunderstanding." The deputy did not even look at him. "Sir, I am not talking to you. I am looking for Grant Harrington." Grant came out from the living room, hands in his pockets. He had splashed water on his face, changed his shirt. Like that mattered. "That is me. Look, officer, I do not know what my wife told you, but she was out of line. She disrespected my whole family. I barely touched her." The deputy pulled a notepad from his chest pocket. "Mr. Harrington, I'm going to need you to walk me through exactly what happened tonight." "Nothing happened." She got emotional. "I calmed her down." "That is it." "You calmed her down how?" Grant hesitated. 1 second too long. I just... She was yelling, and Did you strike your wife, Mr. Harrington?" It was not like that." The deputy turned to the guests. "I need witnesses. Anyone willing to give a statement about what they saw tonight, please stay. Everyone else, I need you off the property." Most of the Harrington family clammed up. Eyes on the ground, mumbled excuses. I did not really see. It happened so fast. I was inside. Years of silence did not break just because the cops showed up. But the councilwoman walked straight to the deputy. "I will give a full statement. I saw the entire thing." 2 other guests stepped forward. "We saw it too. All of it." Then came the evidence nobody expected. The deputy turned to the crowd. "Does anyone have video footage of the incident?" Silence, shuffling feet. Then a voice from the back. Kendra does. It was a teenage cousin. She pointed straight at Kendra. She was recording the whole time. I saw her. Kendra's face went white. I was not. Ma'am, I need to see that video. Kendra looked at Travis. Travis looked at Marilyn. Marilyn looked at the ground. Ma'am, the video. Kendra unlocked her phone with trembling fingers, handed it over. The deputy pressed play. The screen showed Layla standing at the table, speaking, then Grant standing up, then the slap. Clear, loud, undeniable. The camera did not shake. Kendra had held it perfectly steady. She had been filming Layla like a target. Instead, she had captured the crime. The deputy handed the phone to his partner. Bag that as evidence. He turned to Grant. Grant Harrington, you are under arrest for domestic assault. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. Grant's mouth opened. You cannot. This is my family's property. My mother. Turn around, Mr. Harrington. The handcuffs clicked. One wrist, then the other. The sound was small, but it echoed across the yard. Travis charged forward. I am calling our lawyer. You cannot just... Sir, step back or you will be joining him. Travis stopped. Marilyn collapsed into a chair. Not from grief, from embarrassment. Her hands covered her face, not to cry, but to hide. The neighbors were watching. The councilwoman was watching. The world she had built, the name, the legacy, the bloodline speech, was crumbling in real time. Grant was walked across the yard to the patrol car, past the buffet table, past the empty dance floor, past the family photo spot under the oak tree, the photo Layla was not allowed in. Before the deputy put him in the car, Grant turned his head. His last words were aimed at no one and everyone. This is her fault. She humiliated me. The deputy opened the back door, paused, looked Grant dead in the eye. Sir, you humiliated yourself. The door shut. The car pulled down the gravel driveway, red and blue lights fading between the oak trees until they disappeared. The councilwoman collected her purse, walked past Marilyn without a word, stopped at the edge of the yard, and turned around. Marilyn, your son committed assault on camera. The only thing destroyed tonight is the lie that this family was ever what you pretended it was. She left. Others followed, one by one. Some shook their heads. Two women stopped to apologize to Renee's empty chair as if the gesture mattered now. Within minutes, the Harrington property was empty. Tiki torches still flickering, flags still hanging, plates of food no one would eat. A tablecloth stained with sweet tea that would never wash out. The Harringtons stood alone on their land, surrounded by nothing but the mess they made. The video hit the internet before Grant's mugshot was even taken. Someone at the gathering had airdropped the footage to their own phone before the cops bagged it. By midnight, it was on social media. By early morning, it was on every platform that existed. The clip was short. That is all it took. Seconds of a man slapping his wife at a family gathering. Seconds of dozens of people doing nothing. Seconds that set the entire country on fire. By sunrise, the video had millions of views. By the end of the week, the number stopped mattering. Everyone had seen it. Everyone. The headline wrote itself. Every outlet ran some version of the same story. Newly announced national anchor assaulted by husband at family gathering on the same day her historic appointment was broadcast live. The irony was too sharp, too perfect, too painful to ignore. The hashtag came next. It started trending and did not stop. Domestic violence organizations shared it. Civil rights groups shared it. Senators shared it. Athletes shared it. The network covered the story the way Layla would have wanted, with integrity, no sensationalism, no exploitation. Her colleague anchored the segment herself. She sat behind the desk Layla was supposed to be sitting at and spoke directly into the camera. The woman you are about to see in this video is my colleague, my friend, and the new lead anchor of this network. What happened to her is not entertainment. It is not gossip. It is a story about what happens when racism and domestic violence meet in plain sight, and dozens of people choose to look the other way. Days after the gathering, Layla sat in the network studio. Not behind the anchor desk, not yet. She sat in a single chair in front of a plain background, one camera, no teleprompter, no script. Just her face, her voice, and the truth. My name is Layla Brooks. Most of you know me as a journalist, but this week, I became a headline. And I want to tell you my story. Not the version that went viral, but the full one. She spoke for minutes. No cuts, no edits. Minutes of a woman reclaiming her own narrative. She talked about the years, the cobbler without a label, the family photos she was cut from, the jokes about her skin, her hair, her worth. She talked about the silence, Grant's silence, the family's silence, the silence of people who knew better but chose comfort over courage. She talked about the slap, not with anger, not with tears, with precision, the way a journalist talks about facts. My husband hit me in front of his entire family. No one intervened. His brother laughed. His mother told everyone to calm down. His sister-in-law recorded me, not to help, but to humiliate. That is what silence looks like. That is what complicity looks like. Then she said the words that became the most replayed clip. I am filing for divorce. I'm pressing full charges, and I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm asking for accountability. Not just for Grant, but for every person who sat at that table and chose their potato salad over a woman's safety. The video hit millions of views quickly. Layla did not name-call, did not scream, did not beg. Her dignity was her weapon, and it cut deeper than any slur Travis Harrington ever threw. The legal process moved fast. Grant was charged with felony domestic assault, not a misdemeanor. Felony. The prosecutor argued elevation based on the public nature of the attack, the video evidence, and the corroborating testimony of multiple witnesses, including an elected official. Grant's lawyer tried every trick in the book. He called it a momentary lapse in judgment. He called Layla verbally provocative. He called the video taken out of context. The judge was not buying it. Neither was the jury. The trial lasted days. The courtroom was packed. National press filled every seat. Day one. The prosecution played the video, full screen, full audio. The jury watched in silence. One juror, a woman in her 50s, closed her eyes when the slap landed. She did not open them again for seconds. Day two. Layla took the stand. She wore a navy blazer and no jewelry. She answered every question the same way she delivered the news. Calm, precise, devastating. The defense attorney tried to rattle her. Is it not true you were shouting at your husband's family? Is it not true you provoked the altercation? Layla looked at him. I stood up at a dinner table and told the truth. If that is a provocation, then every journalist in this country is guilty. The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order, but the damage was done. The defense had nothing. Day three. Grant took the stand. His lawyer had coached him, told him to stay calm, show remorse, say the right words. It lasted minutes. Under cross-examination, the prosecutor asked one simple question. Mr. Harrington, do you believe your wife belongs in your family? Grant paused. Too long. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. It is complicated. My family has traditions, and yes or no, Mr. Harrington. Does your wife belong in your family? Grant looked at his mother in the gallery, then at Travis, then at his lawyer, then back at the prosecutor. It is not that simple. The jury saw everything they needed to see. Day 4. Verdict: guilty. Felony domestic assault. The sentence brought months in state prison. Mandatory anger management, mandatory racial sensitivity counseling upon release, a permanent restraining order against any contact with Layla Brooks. The judge's closing statement made the evening news on every channel in the country. This court recognizes that the defendant's actions were not isolated. They were the product of an environment that tolerated contempt, that normalized exclusion, that enabled cruelty. This family chose silence when they should have chosen decency. The law does not look away, even when a family decides to. Grant was escorted out in handcuffs. He did not look at the cameras. He did not look at his mother. He looked at the floor, the same floor Layla had stared at for years. The Harringtons did not survive the aftermath. Grant's employer terminated him within hours of the verdict. Marilyn was quietly removed from the board of the local Women's Charitable Foundation. Years of chairmanship erased with a single vote. Travis's business partners pulled out of a major deal. They did not give a reason. They did not need to. Marilyn gave one interview to a local newspaper. She called the trial a media circus and said her son was a good man who made a mistake. The interview went viral for all the wrong reasons. The comment section had to be shut down quickly. Travis was recognized at a business lunch the following month. A woman at the next table pointed at him and said loud enough for the room to hear, "That is the guy from the video, the one who called her a dog." Travis left before his food arrived. He did not go back. The Harrington name, once the pride of the county, became the thing people whispered about at gas stations and grocery stores, not with respect, not with fear, with shame. Acres of land, white fences, oak trees, a house passed down generations, and none of it could protect them from seconds of truth. Months later, Layla Brooks sat in a makeup chair at the network studio in Washington, D.C. A stylist brushed powder across her cheekbones, the same cheekbones that once burned red under Grant Harrington's hand. An audio tech clipped a microphone to her lapel. A producer counted down in her earpiece. "Seconds to air, Layla." She looked at herself in the monitor. Navy blazer, gold earrings, hair, her natural curls styled exactly the way she wanted. Not for anyone else, for her. The ratings were in. Layla's first months as lead anchor had broken every record the network had set in years. Viewership up significantly. Demographics shifted, younger, more diverse, more engaged. Advertisers were fighting for slots. The network had never been stronger. But the numbers were not the story. Layla was the story. Her first major series as lead anchor was an investigative report examining domestic violence in affluent communities. The kind that hides behind money and manners and family names. The kind Layla knew from the inside. The series was nominated for journalism awards before it even finished airing. Layla had moved into her own apartment in Georgetown, small, clean, bright. Bookshelves on every wall, photos of her mother on the mantel, a kitchen that smelled like peach cobbler on Sunday mornings, no screaming, no silence that meant something worse than screaming, no walking on eggshells across someone else's house, just peace, real, earned, hard-won peace. The divorce was finalized weeks after the verdict. Layla did not ask for anything, not the house, not the car, not a cent of Harrington money. She walked away clean. The only thing she took was her name, the name she was born with, the name that was now on every screen in America. Brooks. She started a foundation. It provided legal aid, career counseling, and emergency housing for women leaving abusive relationships. In its first months, it helped hundreds of women. The waiting list had 3 times that number. Layla did not talk about Grant in interviews anymore. She did not need to. The verdict spoke, the video spoke, the sentence spoke. What she talked about was the silence, the dozens of people at that table, the forks that kept moving, the eyes that looked away. "Abusers do not scare me," she told one interviewer. "I married one. I survived one. What scares me is the room full of people who watched and did nothing, because that room is everywhere. That table is in every family. And until we stop treating silence like politeness, nothing changes." Renee watched every broadcast, every single one. From her living room in Richmond, in her old recliner, with a cup of tea going cold on the side table because she forgot about it the second Layla appeared on screen. Every night after the show ended, Renee called. Sometimes they talked for an hour, sometimes just minutes. Sometimes Renee just said, "You did good tonight, baby." And that was enough. Minutes to air. Layla sat in the anchor chair. The studio lights were hot on her face. The teleprompter glowed green. The camera operator held up fingers, counting down. Layla took one breath. In that half-second, she saw it. Not on the monitor, in her mind. A woman standing at the edge of a family photo, arms at her sides, cut from the frame, invisible. She blinked. The red light came on, and Layla Brooks spoke to the nation. Not from the margins, not from the back row, not from the edge of someone else's table, from the center. Back in Richmond, Renee leaned forward in her recliner. Tea forgotten, eyes shining. She pressed her hand against the TV screen, just for a second, and whispered, "Man, this story is fiction, but that silence, that is real." Dozens of people watching a man slap his wife and nobody said a word. Now imagine you were at that table. What would you do? Tell me in the comments, and if this hit you, like, share, subscribe.